Welcome to the Word Bible Software. In this particular video, we're going through a series on Bible study methods. Today we are going to be looking at 3 John chapter 1, 9 through 12. We're going to be covering phrasing through grammar. We're going to also be introducing a slightly new tool that's not available yet, but maybe in the future it'll become more available, but it'll kind of give you some helps or thoughts as we get into the grammar side of things. And also it helps with the phrasing. Let's go ahead and open up the Word Bible Software. And here we have the window we've been working in, our notes, and we have 3 John 1, 9 through 12 here. I've got it out here. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds, which he does, prating against us with malicious words. And not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren, and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. Demetrius has a good testimony from you all, and from the truth itself, and we also bear witness, and you know that our testimony is true. And that's from the New King James Version. We see over here we have the NASB, the Net 2, and the New King James. We also have one called Bib or /BGBL. It's basically a Berean literal, and it uses some Greek, as well as you can see the interlinear. I'll turn that off for just a second. You can also there we go. Interlinear there. We can also do the reverse. Basically it gives the Greek written out into transliterated. And I'm just going to use this because often I find since I shared in the last video about how I struggle with my English at times, my English grammar. And so some tools and resources that have like RMAC or Robinson morphological codes built in. This is a little different one, but similar. These help me as I do my phrasing and different things like that. You see, once again, we have over here in this panel, NASEC, which is a concordance with different word study tools. It's important to use a Bible dictionary. Don't use just any kind of dictionary. Webster is good, but it doesn't go and analyze the Bible words and things like that. We also have ones over here, and this is just a guide to go through a kind of Bible study methods and different things like that, and work down through Scripture, whether you know English or whether you know Greek. Today, we're focusing in on the Greek, but there are some resources that we're focusing in on the English, but there are some resources that we'll use a little bit from the Greek. So let's go ahead and first off go into phrasing. Now, if we were going to go specifically with the English grammar, we'd go our commas, we'd break it down starting with that, go to our sentences, open it up, go to another sentence, open it up, and so on. And we're going to start that way, but then we're going to come back and look at some of the Greek sentence structure and things like that. Okay, very good. So now it says, I wrote to the church. And later on, we'll look at some comparing perhaps and grammar more so. I've written something to the church. I wrote something to the church, but Diotrephes. So we have, he loves to have the preeminence among them. So Diotrephes. And we see that here. So he was writing, I got the word right. We have an indirect object here to the church. So that's right here. And if you like verbs, and in the Greek, you can have a verb noun or a verb subject connected there. Let's pop over our sentences here. And I like to arrange them just according to different sentence structure. So this is the indirect object. And let's do verb. And so the verb, we like to put them in some different colors just to keep it easier to see where we've been going and what's going on. So indirect object. And let's continue on. But Diotrephes. Now, what is the form in here? And that's where I look over this highlight, and it tells me it's a nominative noun. So a nominative noun is more of a subject type of noun in the Greek there. And so we go like this, and we'll just make it a little bit. And so we got more like subject here. And we might have a couple different subjects as you go down through the sentence in a sense. You remember, you see the conjunction here, it kind of contrasting. But who loves to have the preeminence among them. So we have now, it's talking once again about his identity. So this is who he is. Diotrephes is one that is identified as basically this phrase here, who loves to have the preeminence, is a participle that connects back to Diotrephes, and it's a participle. And this particular, it appears to be an adjective participle, and this is more leaning into the Greek. Don't stress over that, but this helps us identify this is who Diotrephes is seen as in the congregation there. He's one who wants to be in first place, so to speak, or he wants to be above the rest. And we'll get into word studies perhaps at another time. So among them. And so let's pull this over. And what does he not do? He does not, and we have the verb here, does not receive us, or does not welcome us, depending on the version you look at there. And let's pull this over a little bit. And here we have a verb again. So this is who Diotrephes is. This is what he's doing, and it's kind of a not a good thing. Not some good things going on here. And this is a participle actually here, important, but there we go. Does not receive us. Very good. Let's go onward. So therefore, and we have a conjunction in a sense, therefore. And remember this, if you like that saying, that connects back to what was going on before. So therefore, if I come, let's go on to verse 10. For this reason, and you can see verse 10 is a little bit more lengthy. Therefore, or because of this, therefore. Interesting. If I come, and so because of this. So look, interesting how they bring that out here. Therefore, or for this, as the NASB would indicate. Let's see if I want to just double check. Okay. Yep, seems to be that way. Okay. Now let me bring my versions back here. Okay, because of this, or therefore, if I come, and so he brings across, we have a conditional here. Conditional, and that's the if, because we don't know, it's not assured that he will be coming. I come, and this would be a verb. You don't need that there, but this is a verb. So if I come, and what kind of verb is it? It's probably in this subjunctive case, which is a case of possibility. Yes, it is. Okay. I will call to mind. So I will bring to remembrance. I will call to mind. This is a future tense. I will call to remembrance, and that's all. It's all one verb there, and this is in the future. Something that's going to go on. Oh, by the way, this is a subjunctive, so let's do it this way. And so he's talking about it as a possibility, but if he does come, then he will be more as a fact. He will call to mind his deeds, which he does. So whose deeds they're talking about? Diotrephes' deeds, and the deeds, his works or his deeds. And this is the direct object. And for those that like English grammar, you probably know what that is right off. You can go ahead and look it up and get into that. Grammar can be very important as we study scripture and work through it. And remember, we said this is kind of a through this, or because of this, rather, kind of a concept. It's a little bit like a conjunction. We're going to leave it there for now. Which he does. And so it says which he does. And so that we have a he does. We have a this direct object, and this direct object is connecting back to his deeds, which makes sense according to the grammar and also the sentence structure there. At times those relative clauses or those relative can be in different places in the Greek, and because it's more identified by word type or like nominative, accusative, etc., than necessarily by location, as like in English as much. There is some of that as well. And we have verb. And who's doing these things? It would be Diotrephes. So let's go in here, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And continuing on. So which he is doing, or he does, prating against us with malicious words. So the question is prating. This is kind of brings back into what he's doing. It's kind of a verb's top idea. So prating against us, and how? With malicious words. All right, and so let's go here we're gonna go like this. We got a direct object, and how is he doing it? With this indirect object with malicious words. And so we got that, and you can see that the and this is more a participle. This could be an adverb in this one, because it seems to lean more toward that verbal side of the participle. And he's prating. What is he doing? He's prating against us. And that's kind of, now we're getting more into his deeds and what he's doing. So we go here again. Let's pull this one over. Not quite that far. And over here. Now, since it is a subject kind of, it's possible that it's also describing him. So I'm going to just put this one in here because it could be kind of both, and interesting to think through. Okay, with malicious words. So you see that now we got kind of a division here. And let's just put a line in here just to make kind of help us remember that they connect together, of course. And let's go on. So it goes on, it says, and not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren. And it looks like in the Greek here, it continues on as a sentence here, all the way to putting them out of the church. So we're going to continue on this concept here. In English, we divide it out in the different translations just because it works easier for our language. Okay, let's go into here a little bit further. Having a little bit of struggle here finding where I'm at quite. In the which doing with the words evil prating against us and not being said. There we are. And here we have our conjunction. And this basically a connection, a connecting word. Let's pull that up. Conjunction. Do a little bit of spell check. Not content with that. And by the way, as the word has moved on in different features, I'm able to, for example, there's spell checking now available, depending on what beta or what version of the word you have when you watch this video. There is spell checking now. And not content. So let's continue on. Not content. And that's, once again, it appears it's talking about him. So we have a negative and then and comma participle, and it looks like it's talking about him and kind of identifying his, in a sense, a character quality or quality he is portraying. So he's not content with that. He wants to not only do that, he's prating against him or with malicious words. But he continues on with these. So not being sided with, basically with these or with that. Let's see here if we got a neuter plural. Could be. Let's see his deeds. What do we got on his deeds here? Very good. It appears that here with that is connecting back to his deeds. So let's do this. This is a relative. We got actually, I believe it's a pronoun relative. Oh, demonstrative. Yeah. So we have a preposition. Demonstrative. But basically what we need to know is this is connecting back to the concept of his deeds. Okay, very good. Let's put that in there. And it looks like we have it's an indirect demonstrative, so to speak. Okay, he himself. So with these, he himself does not receive the brother, or neither receives the brother. So we got kind of in there, we got a negative again. Negative conjunction. Let's do a conjunction, which you don't see it here, but basically it's neither, and we're going to put that here, just kind of covers that up a little bit. I'm going to go like that. Neither he himself does not receive the brethren, he himself, noun, subject, verb, does not receive. And so we got a subject, and who's not doing the receiving? That's Diotrephes. And we got the subject there. Let's pull that over. Does not receive, and who does he not receive? The brothers, and that is the direct object. So direct object, and we have a verb here. And unfortunately, this is how he is recorded in history, because of some things that he did in the church and how he hurt people. Very hard. It would not be a fun way to be recorded. This is a great reminder for us as we look down and as we serve the Lord in different ways, not to do these kind of things, not to be like Diotrephes. So we have a verb and forbids, and so we have a conjunction and then a verb, and a verb here. And who's doing the forbidding? That would be Diotrephes there. So, and I keep misspelling conjunction, but that's what we got this spell check. It helps us out here. And let's put that in there. Forbids those who wish to. So those are basically, it's talking about, it's a direct object, and it's a participle, and it's identifying them, so it might be more of an adjective. Those who wish to. Let's bring that one over. So, okay, putting them out of the church, and from the church, and so we have the concept here. Out from the church is basically a prepositional phrase, I believe what you would call it. Preposition, and then goes on, ... Probably a phrase here. Okay, so let's pull that one over as well, just kind of get our structure. And here, what is he doing? He's putting them out of the church, and so we have a verb as well, and this is a fact that he's been doing, is indicated by the indicative verb, or at least from the perspective of the person that's writing this, is seen as a fact. So very good. Now we kind of break things down here. We have now, there's one point here probably before this, we got another point, and then we come to a new sentence here in the Greek. So let's pull that out, at least in this version of the Greek here. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. So you can see now, we talked about Diotrephes, and now it's the author here, John the apostle, is telling them, watch out, don't do these things. And this is probably in the vocative, which is basically a subject, but a little bit stronger. I mean, it is it's emphasizing the subject in a sense. So, beloved, do not imitate what is evil. So the imitation should not happen. And this is a command. Let me double check here. Yes, this is a command. Do not imitate. So we have these. And it has an adverb in there, which we've chosen not to express those as much throughout. But it's a participle, a negative. But it is so it's a verb, basically adverb, verb. And if you want to get really specific with it, we can do this. We put them all in this color and leave that undo, and we take that off. And so this is the adverb in here. There we go. Okay. Do not imitate what is evil. So, and this is an adjective, or the thing that is evil, and this is what it's talking about. The what is kind of the connecting, and it is a type of pronoun or an article, but it connects back to what is evil. So let's see, I believe that would be in the accusative. Okay, so that's a direct object. Very good. Let's change that. But what is good? So what are you, and now we have a contrasting conjunction here. So what are we to do? What is good? So we got that conjunction. Finally got it spelled right. Okay. What is good? And once again, a different type of, it's a direct object. Okay. Very good. So you're starting to see some of the things. So now the church is being told, do this. Don't imitate Diotrephes, but imitate what is good. And if you remember back, it's actually, beloved is probably the elder. So we look back over that, just kind of remembering that, and that's connecting back to the elder. So this is we're going to just put that right here, elder. We'll look back at this, the elder. Just to kind of keep ourselves on track. Context helps us understand and interpret. Okay, and now we continue on. What is good? So this appears to be a break in a sentence here. Let's put this over here. Another sentence there. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. And you can get into a lot of theology on that. Right now we're just going through phrasing and things like that. So we have probably a character quality, he who does good. And so this is a subject with an adjective participle. So the adjective participle is describing the subject. And the subject is seen to be somebody who is not doing that, well, they're seen to be doing good. And that is their character quality. Is of God or from God. So this is a verb, it's implied. And we have a preposition, kind of a prepositional phrase here. Okay. Very good. But now we have that contrasting conjunction again. And let me put that in. He who does evil. Okay. So now once again, I see there is a verb. It is just further down. Let's put that in. That's important. So not implied in that context. The one is okay. And now the one doing evil is once again, this is kind of subject, adjective, participle. And this is kind of their character quality or who they are. Participle. It's describing them. Very good. And has not seen God. And this is a perfect verb. So there we go. But we can just go verb for that. That's kind of what we're doing. Has not seen God. It's kind of what considered a completed action. That's something I'd have to review my grammar a little bit on. And this is talking about a direct object here. Very good. So once again, we have the sentence ends there, and we continue on. So let's go put that line in. Okay. Now, do not mix Diotrephes with Demetrius. Those are two different people. Now, we saw the bad example. Now we're going to see the good example. Demetrius, and here we see indirect object. Let's pull that over. Has a good testimony from all. He's basically been witnessed by all. So we have that here. Witness has been given by all or from all. So a verb. And it looks like, once again, a completed action, that verb. and we'll just call it a perfect verb in these two senses just to give us a little bit of information. Maybe we'll look into that later on as we come back. From all. Okay. And this is it appears, okay, kind of that prepositional phrase concept again. Now remember, these are just some things to get you started and get to studying. I would expect that you would go through and work through these things as well. Okay, and we got that conjunction. And from the truth itself. So now we have and from the truth itself. So kind of a prepositional phrase along with a pronoun here, a personal, like it's a pronoun as well. Kind of connects that in. Okay, now this one would connect here. This and we. So this and. It seems like there's actually more of it. Could be a semicolon here. Excellent translation. We can look into these things a little bit more if you want. We're going to jump it over just a little bit with kind of these are more connected sentences, at least in this particular Greek version. And we also bear witness. So bear witness. Now above where it says testimony, that is actually connected. A similar concept of the bearing of the witness. So has a good testimony, or basically this particular version says witness has been given. So that helps us, and that is the bib. We're going to go with the bib, BGBL. Okay, and that just kind of points us there. Witness has been by all. Okay, also bear witness. So we got a verb here. Got that. Okay, and once again another conjunction. Let me minimize something here real quick. Very good. And you know that our testimony is, you know. So we got that. You know, you have known, or you know. And we got that verb here, the verb concept. And when it talks about this particular form of know, let's go in here. I specifically, the AMGL does an excellent job explaining some of this. And let's get into, let me pull it up, you know, and then as this one does a great job of, whoops, let's bring it up again. So this is genosko, and to know by observation and experience that is thus distance from oida, which that was what the word we're talking about. No, it's to know by reflection. So let's go ahead and bring this in here. So we got AMGL, and I know we're doing a little bit of word study already, but this will just kind of pull it together, perhaps later on as we get into that word study in another video. That our testimony, and so we're going to jump this over. This is like a subconjunction. The word that here in the Greek there, it's a subconjunction. That our testimony. So the testimony, and so and who's it from? Our. Okay, so now we have it's like a possessive pronoun with the subject, and testimony is the subject. Looks like I got a misspell there on the word possessive, so let's put that in there. And so now testimony, or basically kind of that witnessing is true. Is true. Very good. And so let's put this in here. And the word true. This is kind of one of those equative verbs, if you want to put it that way. And let's go subject, which the subject is a noun, of course. Let's jump this over. One. and here once again we have the word true. So it's subject basically, or kind of matches, goes back and forth, equative in the sense. So now we got it broken down into several sections. Let's go ahead and put it in. So third John 1:9 is going to be does not acknowledge us, goes up to here. And then let's go 3 John 1:10, and that goes all the way up to throws them out of the church. Very good. And that seems to, the verses, remember, verses were added around the 1500s, but in this particular case they seem to be doing pretty good with the sentence structure there. It appears this one could be he who's, oh, I see. And you know, we could probably break it into that particular, join those two together. I want to bring in a little bit of the formatting from over here and go 1, 2, 3. Oops, got a little bit there. Okay. And then we come down here. That'll be a sub point. And here's that example. And this would be 3 John 1:12. And so let's get in here. Let's do a little bit of cleanup here. So 3 John 1:12. And you could go like that into the point. Let's go 3 John 1:11. Okay, and we said we were going to do, what we'll do here is, okay, 3 John 1:11a. We're going to copy that because we're going to use that just in a second, a little bit lower. And that goes down right here. So B and B. Very good. And now let's go up and let's fix a little bit this one. 3 John 1:10. And lastly, we'll go up here and fix this one. So 3 John 1, oh, didn't get that quite right. 3 John 1:9. So if you see here, what you'll see is kind of the Diotrephes and Demetrius, kind of the two different examples. One had a bad testimony before the congregation. The other one, or bad deeds essentially. And the other one, a good testimony before the congregation. And some specific connecting to the elder who's known as the beloved. With all that, we've done our, let's double check what we were going to cover. We have done our phrasing. We've done our grammar. And now you can get into comparing, and we've done that in the past in other lessons. We might get into that more next time. You can go down through and look at NASB, NET, and New King James, but you can kind of do that as well as you've seen. So next time we're going to get into more the word studies and go into that further. Let's double check my phrasing here is true. Let's double check our verbs, make sure they're all marked. Now, verbs are pretty important in Greek as you go through and study the word and study the passage. So, for example, now I'll give you an example as we do this. I wrote. Who's writing? John the Apostle. Does not receive. So we're alerted by Diotrephes. He does not receive. Going a little bit further, the one who's writing, Apostle John, he is saying, I will call to mind. He's going to call to what to mind? What Diotrephes is doing. He's going to come and help out in this situation that he does not receive, and he puts them out of the church, and he forbids. Then we go on to point 3, and now John talking to beloved, the elder there, or one of the elders. Do not imitate what is evil. So that's a very important. He gives it a command. Do not imitate. So don't be like Diotrephes, but what is good. So now he gives an example. He who is good is of God. He who does evil has not seen God. And that can affect any of our churches. The different ones that do evil or do not, and those that do good. So now he gives the example of Demetrius. He has a good testimony. And even Apostle John is bearing witness And he's writing to the elder and saying, our testimony is true. You've been able to reflect on it, think through it, or whatever. Our testimony is true. So we're going to go there. We're going to stop right there this time around. Now, context, we've talked about that here. We have it written down in 1 through 4. You can get into that. I'm going to transfer that over to the 5 through 8 lesson. Very important. And 9 through 12. And of course, let's bring in a little bit more context here at the start. And just pull this down. Context 3 John 1, 5 through 8 is the immediate context. Let's go ahead and put this in the same color as this font here. There we are. Now, this has been somewhat of a fast lesson. We've kind of wrestled through different concepts. Thank you for joining us as we kind of got even into a new tool, an interlinear of sorts. And so go ahead and continue to study in Bible study methods. Next time we'll come back to this next passage, Lord willing, and look at some word studies and dig in to that. Thank you so much for your time and joining us today. God bless, and continue to dig in to the Word of God.